Out of the 4 movies that came out this week, only 2 of them came to our theaters, Scorched Trials and Black Mass. We did not get Everest or Sicario, unfortunately. Instead of Everest and Sicario, somehow we got Grandma and War Room. Thank God we still have Black Mass. Alright, I just got back not too long ago from Black Mass, and I'm gonna see it again tomorrow, it sounds like. And I'm glad, because Black Mass is really good. It is an amazing film. The whole thing is based off of a true story about this infamous, notorious criminal, Whitey Bulger, who is played by Johnny Depp. And now him and an old childhood friend who is now working at the FBI work together to bring themselves up in the ranks. FBI agent uses Bulger as an informant to take out the mafia, and in return Bulger gets territory that the mafia had, and the FBI agent goes higher in the ranks. This is quite an incredible and bizarre tale about how the FBI allowed this to happen and how he gets control and he becomes this kingpin, and they couldn't do anything about it because one of the helpers, one of the people keeping Bulger from getting in jail, is another FBI agent, and they just said, oh well, he's an informant, he's immune, and it is just crazy that this actually happened. Now, for the most part, this is your typical mafia movie where it's about a gangster. Everyone in this film pretty much are bad guys except for a select few. And some of those select few are actually more corrupt than you think. Most of these people are completely despicable characters, especially Johnny Depp's character, Whitey Bulger. But yet, they're such interesting and great characters to the point where, okay, I can buy it, I'm interested in this character, I still want him to go down, I still want him to lose, but it's like, I'm so invested in this character and in this movie. Quite frankly, everyone's going to be talking about Johnny Depp, and that's understandable. He is amazing in this film. But practically everyone in this film is amazing. Even some of the side characters. They get a lot of pretty big names in this movie, even if they might only have 2 or 3 scenes in the entire film. And so because of that, some of the side characters aren't even forgettable. They're just like, holy crap, I wish they had a little bit more part in this because they're really good. Let's just take a look at the people that are in this film. We got Johnny Depp, we got Joel Edgerton, Benedict Cumberbatch, Dakota Johnson, Kevin Bacon, Peter Sarsgaard, who he was really amazing and crazy in this film, David Harbour, which you might recognize from A Walk Amongst the Tombstones and Equalizer if you've seen any of those 2 movies. Corey Stoll isn't in the movie until the very end, and he becomes sort of the person that's trying to go after Whitey Bulger finally. One of the other side characters that has a big name playing this character, but it's like he doesn't really do anything in this movie, and that's Adam Scott. Like, these are all people that are in Black Mass. Yes, all these people that I just mentioned are great in this film, and most of them steal the show from scene to scene. And the ones, though, that are going to be the most talked about, and the ones that I think definitely do have the best roles and just the best acting out of all of these great, great actors, is Johnny Depp and Joel Edgerton. You got Joel Edgerton, who is an FBI agent. He is a bad guy at the same time because he does respect Whitey Bulger, and he really looks up to him because they were childhood friends and they grew up in the same neighborhood. And so he's really anxious to take down the mafia, and he wants to get the help of Whitey Bulger to become an informant and to give him immunity so that he can take out the mafia for himself, but ultimately helping Bulger at the same time. A fair alliance. And as the movie progresses, Joel Edgerton really does become more corrupt and just really crazy and more evil. But I wouldn't say evil, he just becomes more corrupt, and he's just way too loyal to Bulger to be able to see the wrong that he's doing. And while Johnny Depp plays a really sadistic and just nasty person, he gets nastier as the film goes on. At the beginning, there is a little bit of heart. There is a little bit of soul in this character. And you can see it like during the mafia stuff when he has to do business. Yeah, he's crazy. He's really into this mafia role, and he's a really bad, nasty dude. But whenever he comes home at the beginning, whenever he sees his kid, you can see that he does care about his kid and his family. And there's something about it that he has a heart and he has a soul. But then as the movie progresses, he just loses that soul and loses that heart. And so it's another delving into just getting worse and worse and worse of a character. So in that sense, there is a lot of character progression when it comes to those two characters, and I really admired that. I also like that Joel Edgerton, towards the end of the film, for some reason started reminding me of Joe Pesci. Like, he didn't have the attitude that Joe Pesci does, but there's something about his character that almost reminded me of Joe Pesci in the Goodfellas, because he had around the same sort of hairdo. He was the shorter character among some of the other actors, and just his inflections almost sounded a little bit like Joe Pesci, even though his dialogue and his attitude was nothing like Joe Pesci. And even though the side characters don't have a great amount of story in this movie, again, like I said, all the actors played them really well. There's a lot of great performances in scenes with Kevin Bacon, Peter Sarsgaard. Dakota Johnson has this really great emotional scene with Johnny Depp, and those two kill it. Just like you would expect from any mafia movie, this movie is shot beautifully, almost to a point where it could easily be an Oscar nomination for its cinematography. The eventual action and the brutality that happens in the film sporadically throughout is really handled extremely well, and just artistically, and just like any good mafia movie would have it. Now, a lot of people are saying this movie doesn't have heart, it's soulless, it's immoral, and that's what's missing from the film. But honestly, all that is towards the beginning of the film, and as it goes on, there's less and less soul, just like our characters are becoming less and less more moral and more bad and more evil and more despicable as the movie goes on. There is some great emotional and great characterization of Johnny Depp's character towards the beginning of this film, especially with the family life. And yes, he does bring his job into it a bit, where he tries to teach his kid that you didn't get in trouble for hitting this kid. You got in trouble because you were caught hitting this kid. And oh, it's just amazing. Now, I don't really want to spoil anything, especially if you go see this over the weekend. I'm probably going to see this again tomorrow. But there is a scene where the kid is in a hospital, and there's a scene with Johnny Depp and Dakota Johnson, because she's the wife of Johnny Depp in this movie, and they're talking, and he's in a really bad predicament, the kid is, and there's this really great emotional scene that I wish there was a little bit more of the family life so it could become even more impactful. That's the thing, there's a bunch of really great emotional scenes that I did actually tear up and care for the characters, but I just wish there was a little bit more in between those scenes that would help enhance the emotional involvement you could have with those scenes. Overall, I think it's a very good, solid mafia movie. It's not the greatest, it's not going to be something that you would consider a masterpiece, but it's very entertaining. There's a lot of great emotional scenes to it that could have been enhanced if there was more sort of building up to those scenes. The cinematography is great, the acting is great. Some of the side characters are a little too underused in this movie. But overall, I think this is definitely one of the best movies this year, and it would probably be easily in my top 20. I think I adjusted everything, and it is in my top 20 right now. I'm going to give Black Mass 4. But it's more like a 4.25 for me. So, have you been able to see Black Mass yet? What did you think about it if you haven't? If you have not seen Black Mass, what is your favorite mafia movie of all time? That would be hard for me. It would be either Godfather or it would be The Goodfellas. I can't choose between those two. It's really hard. I'm sure there's even more mafia movies that I really love too, but I just can't think of them off the top of my head. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.